Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our business transition podcast. Today, I am so fortunate to have Ned Minor, who is an original founder of the law firm Minor and Brown in Denver, Colorado. He and I have worked together for, at least it's been over 15 years, Ned. And you, in my mind, are one of the leading merger and acquisition lawyers in the entire country. And so I'm just so grateful that we have the time here today with you. So thanks for coming.
Thank you very much. I'm thrilled to be here.
Thank you. So today we're going to talk a little bit about preparing for your transition and what that really looks like. And he wrote a wonderful book called Deciding to Sell Your Business, and it's the key to wealth and freedom. So Ned, tell us a little bit about your book and what made you decide to write this book. It's been out for how many years now?
Just for about 20 years now.
Awesome.
And I took it, by the time we wrote it, we were very conscious to make sure that there was nothing that ever had to be revised again. We didn't cite any Colorado state law, we didn't cite any IRS sections. The point being that the book is just as relevant today as it was 20 years ago. The questions and answers are the same. The only thing that changes is what kind of market are we in? Are we in a good market or a bad market? So I routinely get messages from clients or prospects say they really like the book, the index, et cetera, but that it was just so modern and up to date.
That's great. And one of the things that I loved about the book when I first read it and still do is that it takes owners through a variety of different questions that actually trigger them and help them to walk through some self-reflection on how do they decide to sell their business and some of the whys behind that.
Well, the reason I wrote the book is that for the last 25, 35 years, I've represented nothing but business owners. That's who we are. My former partner, John Brown, and I started this firm on April 15th, 1977, the day when you filed for your first tax extension. And we had no clients, no referral sources, no business, and of course, no money. The good news was that we had wives, we had real jobs, and we didn't have mortgage payments or kids. But to make a long story short, our clients are all privately held business owners, small, large, extra small, doesn't matter. We just want to help people. And I wrote the book because I found out very quickly, having done so many of these interviews, first-time meetings with potential clients, I'd ask the same questions and usually get the same answers. And I thought to myself, I really think I have to write a book on this. And I did, but it unfortunately took about 5 years because also being a father, a husband, and a lawyer and a managing partner of a growing law firm. But it truly is one of the great accomplishments that I think I've achieved. This book has helped so many people. Literally isn't a day or a week go by that someone doesn't email from wherever saying, thank you so much for the book. So the book is open to all of you people. We'll get you the contact information. But we'd love for you to have it complimentary of Elizabeth.
Thank you. Yes, and the book, all that information.
Did I answer that question?
You did answer that question. You did. You definitely did. And the book, all of the information, that's so generous of you, Ned, to provide that for the listeners and for our viewers. And all of that information will be at the end of our podcast. So it'll be awesome. So as you've worked with business owners and they've come in and they've navigated getting ready to sell and selling, what are some of the things that you discuss with them? And what are some of the things that you see business owners should be doing?
Well, the first thing is, and this is what really triggered the book, is the emotional component. The first book, by the way, this is 55 questions and answers. Each question is separate and distinct. You don't have to read questions 1 through 9 to understand question 10. They're all self-contained. And being an entrepreneur myself and a business owner myself, I know what everybody's going through when it relates to running your business and thinking about when you're going to leave your business. But first thing I ask them is, why are you selling your business? And quite often they don't know. It may sound strange, but it's true. They have some easy, fuzzy idea of what is life like after the sale, but they really don't know. And that's the first question in my book. What will I do after I've sold my business? The answer is you're going to have so much time on your hands. You're going to get all the things you want to do that you're going to say, how in the world did I ever have time to learn and operate my business? So next question, so we're trying to deal with the emotional issues, and there always are emotional issues tied to the potential transaction. And over time, I help them sort through all that. So a lot of the time I'm playing miniature psychiatrists or psychologists because that's what they need. They don't have anyone to talk to. They don't talk to their spouse. They don't talk to their partners. They may talk to their partners. They don't talk to their employees. They don't talk to their lawyers. They don't talk to their bankers. It's something they hold very close to the vest, and we work our way through that. And I could give you all sorts of examples. Probably don't want to spend our whole time here on this one question, but we really help them answer the question, what will I do after I've sold my business? I will share one story here. Gentleman was 62 years old. He came in my office, white hair, well tan, very successful. And he said he was ready to sell his business. And the more I talked to him, the more I was convinced that he really wasn't ready to pull the trigger. This is the first time I'm meeting this gentleman. And I mean, not costing him any money to share his experience with me. I wasn't charging for these meetings. But it kind of got intense and it kind of got heated because he thought he had convinced me that he was going to sell. And I said, you're not convinced me that you will sell. So to make a long story short, he finally ultimately convinced me that he would sell the business. He wanted $40 million. Our buyer had $42 million cash. And our client walked away from the table.
Wow.
I let 2 weeks go by. I called him and said, Bob, what happened? We had this great discussion. You convinced me that you were ready to pull the trigger. What happened? And he said, Ned, oh, by the way, thank you very much. You got me a better deal than I ever dreamed I could get. But the closer I got to the closing, the more frightened I became that I didn't know what I would do. He said, you were right. Everything that you said was correct. And he walked away from the business. I'm sorry, he walked away from selling.
Right.
2 years later, he sells the business for half what he could have paid or we could have received 2 years prior to that. His health was shaky. So it always breaks my heart to run across situations like that where if they just had a team of advisors who knew and understand this whole concept of exit planning and committed to doing it, it cost them a lot of money. And
yeah.
But that's the joy that I bring to any potential client is I know every minefield there is to know.
You
in every
do.
situation
Yes.
that you can have. And the good news is if we get a client to the market, we close 99% of all deals.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting because, well, you know, my book, right? In my book,
I would hold it up, but I'm not strong enough.
Oh, no. But yeah, it's, when I think of it's a journey, it actually is a journey. And that's a really great example of a journey where it started. They explored third party, got cold feet, walked away, and then came back. And it did cost them a lot of money. I wonder too, what some of the lessons that were learned along the way. And if, if half was okay with those people, but, as you navigate this journey, starting with your why, I think is crucial, because if you don't know why you're walking into this business sale or this business transition, and you don't know for sure that you want to go to a third party, or for sure that you want to sell it internally to an employee or, a family member or even another partner, I think that is the starting point without any question, because once you are clear in your mind with that, then it's so much easier to walk through the entire thing. And it's expensive to go through these processes and then to stop and then start again.
Elizabeth, you hit it right on the head. You're 100% correct. They've got to know the answer to that question. And you've got to just convince them that it's okay to open up and talk to their advisor if their advisor is knowledgeable in this area. They just need a good sounding board. And I think that's one of the things that you do such a great job of. And when I talked about your book being heavy, it is heavy, but it's got a lot of weighty content. So congratulations. I know that was a labor of love, but it's going to be very helpful to the people we're talking about.
Thank you. Thank you. And you know, I like both of our books because they come together in the middle. They do. Mine does deal with some of the more behavioral, softer spots, but it has some content in it that's pretty meaty. Yours comes at it from the how much side at times. And that's one of the things I've always loved about us doing things together, is because we're an amazing pair. And I think our books are the same way.
I agree.
Yeah. So when as people start to walk through this process, do you find that they get stuck on other points, or there are other things that when they come into your office that they're not prepared for or don't have ready?
Well, it's interesting. I'll take you through a couple of examples. Business owners are very smart and very capable. Do a wonderful job of building a company. When it comes time to letting go of their baby, their identity in the marketplace, the person they see in the mirror every day, not John Smith, it's John Smith, owner of ABC Manufacturing Company. But one of the first things that we do is, after trying to help them figure out the emotional component, is I'll say, let's talk about the value. How much pre-tax income you want coming to you for the rest of your life, assuming you never have to go out and generate additional revenue. Doesn't mean that you can't or won't, but you don't have to.
Right.
And usually they don't know the answer to that question. I mean, they fundamentally don't know the value of their business, and they don't know what their personal financial requirements are for getting, as it relates to ultimately getting to the end of the road and triggering a sale. Classic example is a husband and wife, Australian company. The wife owned 51%, and the husband owned 49%, and they live together, they work together with each other 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. I asked the question, how much pre-tax income do you want coming to you? And before I finished the sentence, the wife said, I want $500,000. The husband, we all know is slower than the wives, said, I want $1.1 million. And I said, perhaps, I'll be, of course, the slowest I'm with in the meeting. Said maybe the two of you might want to chat. I mean, here they had their whole lives were enmeshed in this business. They didn't know why they were working. They didn't know how much they needed. And that's typical. A seller will say, I only need X. And I say, the heck with what you need. I want to know what you want. Because there's a difference between a want and a need. And I want you to focus on a transaction strategy that gets you what you want and more, not what you need.
Yeah, and one of the things that, I don't know if you've found this, but one of the things that I found is they have this revenue generating business, and we're assuming that it's, successful, and has the ability to create some outside wealth outside of the company, which is always a good thing. But typically statistics are, 80% of a business owner's wealth is in their company, and they're used to that income. So one thing happens is when they leave that business and they sell it, they no longer have that revenue producing engine. So they're on a quote unquote fixed income of some sort. And then the other thing is, if they haven't thought out, going back to the first question in your book, if they haven't thought out what they want to do next and some of the objectives that they want to achieve after the business, many of those things cost money. So it's not just, hey, let's live the same life we're living now, but I'm not going to go to work. It's more along the lines of, hey, I'm not going to go to work and I'm going to have time. So what else do I want to do, and how much is that going to cost?
If I had any brains 20 or 30 years ago, I would have opened up a residential real estate in Palm Springs. And because it seems like every time close the deal, the buyer would go out and buy a second and a third home. I'm sorry, the seller go out and buy a second or third home. And you're right. And quite frankly, I'll give you my statistics have always been 90+% of all business owners, that the business owner is the biggest asset of their lives. And I ask how much do you want? They don't know how much they want, but the key is to help them realize that I want you to plan for this whole situation, this whole exit opportunity. And if you do the right thing between now and the time you get ready to pull the trigger, you'll be rewarded at the closing table.
Absolutely. So when owners decide that they're getting ready to sell, and you're truly an expert, I know that you can do documents and have done that on an internal type sale to, again, a partner or someone who's inside of the company that the owner already knows. You also are outstanding at the third party, right? Those external and those kinds of sales. So what have you found to be beneficial when you take someone out to market? How does that work?
Well, the first step would be to bring in an investment banker, or if it's a small deal, perhaps a business broker, and distinguish between the two, between investment bankers and business brokers. And if it's a deal that they both go through the same process. But the first thing they got to do is you sit them down with a good investment banker. Their role is to come in, do an extraordinary due diligence effort, and really driving what is the best purchase price we think the market will deliver for you today. And based on that, the client will say, well, I'm ready to go to market. I wanted 10. You said you give me 15.
So Ned, you, I know, can have dealt with internal sales inside of your law firm, but you also have done a lot of external sales, a lot of those third-party sales. And so can you walk our viewers and listeners through just some highlights of what you see? What's it like to go through that as a business owner?
Much to many business owners' surprise, they end up selling to a third party, an outside third party. You've got strategic buyers and you've got financial buyers. A financial buyer is basically an investment banking firm that's gone out and raised millions and millions of dollars for the sole purpose of making acquisitions in the marketplace that they're seeking. And the advantages are very simple and obvious. If you're selling to an outside third party, one of our objectives, and it's no problem making it happen, is we bring in the investment banker. The investment banker's job is to go out, study the market, come back and say, we've studied this market and we think it's a great time to get into it. Here are the reasons, here are the multiples that you can look for. Two, they'll say it's not the right time to go into the marketplace. So if we know that, if we know how much they want, and we know it's going to take, by their own definition, 3 years to get there, to get the company to where it needs to be. This is where Elizabeth and her company play a fabulous role. They do all the things that help business owners be prepared to sell. And that's invaluable because the owner doesn't want to have anything to do with that. He or she wants to continue running the business and come to me when you got the money in hand and we'll sit down and close this deal. You're always going to get a better deal from an outside third party, be it a private equity group or be it a strategic buyer. A strategic buyer is a company. An example of that is we sold a great company, and many of you in the audience have consumed this product. It's called Lara Bar, Lara Bar, and two little dots, whatever those things are called over the first day. And I'm free to use her name. She gave me that permission. But we interviewed the investment banking firm, a great investment banking firm. The investment banker takes us through the process to get ready for sale and then conducts the economic negotiations, the terms and conditions of the contract. We, the law firm, have come in right at the beginning, and we're also getting the seller cleaned up. We know that the buyer's attorney is going to insist upon a full and complete due diligence. And as a law firm, it's our duty to make sure that we disclose everything there is to know about this company. Because the moment the client doesn't disclose everything, no matter how tawdry or miserable it might be, it's going to come up at some point in time. So we get their organization clean so that when the buyer wants to start negotiating the warranties and representations that they will have you, the seller, make, we know everything there's to know about that situation, and we'll tell them what's going on and what we're going to do with it. But think about it. Strategic buyers and the private equity groups have the funds to get a deal done. In a small deal where you're working with a broker, you're probably going to have to carry back a significant portion of the purchase price.
And that's true too. Sometimes if you're doing an internal sale, right, an internal transition, lots of times the owner has to carry back a significant portion of the money as well. So, and there's a lot of risk in there. So as owners start to navigate this, I can't tell you how many times, Ned, we've walked somebody through the thinking of what they truly want. So we'll go again back to your why, back to that first question that you have. Why are you selling your business? What do you want to achieve out of the sale, the financial sale, so that you can live the rest of your life, hopefully with the choice of going back to work, not because you have to, but because you want to be fulfilled. And as they walk through that why, we've seen them go from, hey, I'm going to sell to an internal group because I think I want to honor those people. They've been with me a long time, et cetera. Or I want to keep my culture, to I'm going to go to a third party. And that's the direction they go. And then we've seen the opposite, where they come in and they say, hey, I'm going to sell to this third party because that's exactly the best way for me to get what I want. And they end up selling to an employee because they found out that that was their foundation and that was the most important thing to them. So kind of interesting how those things happen throughout this journey of exploring sale.
Well, you're unequivocally going to make more money if you sell to an outside third party. Now, I'm not promoting that, it's just a fact. They've got the money, they've got the knowledge about the industry they're getting into. They are professional buyout people. And their job, the job of their advisors, their CPA and their business law firm, they've got to get this company prepared to sell. And again, this is one of the many things that Elizabeth's company does an outstanding job on. But we do get what we call a controlled auction. What's a controlled auction? This is where the investment banker earns his money. Controlled auction is where they again study who are the potential buyers. They have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars per year on data, and they can find as many situations, as many transactions that they want to look at that would be comparable to buying this particular company. And once they get all of that together, then once they identify who these potential buyers are, and they very secretively and confidentially go to the marketplace and get expressions of interest from people that have never heard of our companies before.
Yeah.
They sign the non-disclosure agreement, and that's when the investment banker starts pitting buyer A, B, and C against D, and B, C, and F against A. And it's a beautiful thing when one of the investment bankers teases me because I came up with a very sophisticated Wall Street firm. I called these deals whack-a-hole multiples. And they get opportunities to sell for multiples that they've never conceived of. It's a beautiful thing to watch, and it's just great fun to see the potential buyers beating each other up to death to get their arms around your company.
Yeah.
That's where they earn their money.
That is where they earn their money.
Well, where they really earn their money is once they've got down to buyer A, and he gives us a letter of intent. At that point, then they start renegotiating the deal. It's a non-binding letter of intent, but that's just the way it works. So they'll say, well, we just found this in your company's books, or we would do it differently, and blah, blah, blah. But the strong investment banker will say no until his lips bleed. We're not gonna negotiate upon that because we think that's what the value is. But doing a deal with sophisticated outside third party is probably 75% of the transactions we see.
Yeah. And, I just would encourage, there's so many people that I've run into over my many years that I've been doing this that have businesses and they actually believe that they're not worth a lot or that the sale process would be difficult, which it is challenging. I mean, there's no doubt about it. There's definitely work. You're running your business and you're trying to figure out this sale process as you go forward. You and I talked about this. We had lunch the other day. I have such a huge passion for our communities doing well and the businesses continuing forward. And I think that it's so important for owners and listeners to just explore what your business is worth and explore what it looks like to transition it into somebody else's hands so that, again, communities go forward, employees stay employed, and the people who are using your business and have great value from it, that they continue to gain that value over time. And I think that you and I share that value.
I agree. And this is not intended to be a plug for my book, but I'm going to quickly read some of the questions in the book. Give you an idea of why you should read it. And our job today is not to convince you that today is the day that you should sell your business, but be unequivocally clear. This is the day we want you to commit to yourself. That today is the day that you will define, design, and implement your exit strategy. It could be 20 years, it could be 2 years, but for those business owners who go through this process, two things happen, and I will almost guarantee it. They will get more money than they thought it was worth. They do it in a shorter time frame than they thought of. Just to give you, just to whet your appetite. When should I sell my business? Why should I sell my business? Should I sell my business to a key employee or a group of key employees? Should I transfer my business to a family member? Should I sell my business to a third party? My employees lose their job. Should I feel guilty about my employees after the sale takes place? I wanted to put in hell no, but I just put in no. How do I keep the sales process confidential? Should I take my company public? Blah, blah, blah. So the book is 3 parts. The first is, again, things we've been talking about. The middle part is more about the transaction. I don't want my clients to try to negotiate their own deal, obviously, but I want them to educate. I want them to have some feel for what they're getting into. And then the third part of the book is 12 of my business owners who sold their businesses what were their words? They were, quote, honored that I asked them, that they asked me to tell their story. I, on the other hand, was afraid to ask them if I could tell their story, knowing that if word got out that so-and-so sold his company, every stockbroker and financial planner in the world is going to be the path to their door. Much to my great satisfaction, they said, no, we're honored that you would select us to talk about the book, talk about our situation. And we're totally comfortable with it. So
that's wonderful. So, Ned, we're at our time, and I just want to ask you one final question for the audience. If you had to leave one thought with them, just one top thought for them, what is your number one thing that you'd like to leave in their minds today?
The thing I really want them to start thinking about and visualize what is life for them after the sale. You got all the money you'll ever need for the next 3 lifetimes. What are you going to do with it? And it's routinely, people will say to someone who just sold their business, first of all, they think you're a genius because you sold your business. They don't know how much you sold it for, but whatever you sold it for, I can tell you that they, amongst talking to your buddies at the golf club or wherever, are assuming it's probably twice what they think you paid for it. So really start envisioning your life without being harassed by lawyers, by CPAs, by bankers, by insurance folks, and whatever. And really spend time talking to your spouse or your significant other. They're going to be part of this team, and what are you going to do on a day-to-day basis to make you feel fulfilled? And that's kind of a trial and error situation. Many business owners think that that's what they want to do. They end up finding out that it's not fun to play golf 5 days a week. For my game, it's painful after 2 days. But really visualize waking up every morning and you've got a big white canvas. And you get to put in the shapes, the colors, whatever you want to put in it, make you happy and make you feel fulfilled. Really what you want to do because you want to do it.
Yeah. Well, Ned, that is amazing advice. And I think that visioning is so important. So I would like to thank you so much for your time today and for being a part of our podcast. It means so much to me. And I'll look forward to more work and more things to come. So thank you so much for being here.
You're most welcome. Thank you.